This video is sponsored by Magellan TV. Corporal Desmond Thomas Doss was the first conscientious objector to ever receive the Medal of Honor. A simple man with a noble heart, Doss single-handedly rescued 75 men from the fiercest battle in the entire Pacific Theater during World War II, the Battle of Okinawa. Moreover, his actions rekindled the American spirit and indirectly helped the 77th Infantry Division capture Hacksaw Ridge in May of 1945. By October of that year, President Harry Truman bestowed him with the medal and warmly told him, quote, "I'm proud of you. You really deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being president." To learn more incredible battle stories, stream World War II Battles Won and Lost on Magellan TV. Every battle is both a victory and a defeat, depending on which side you're on. Learn more about the strategies that dictated the trajectory of World War II. Visit try.magellantv.com/darkdocs or click the link in the description below to get a free 1-month trial of Magellan TV. Magellan TV is a streaming service available across all your devices that features over 3,000 documentaries with new programs added on a weekly basis. Dark Docs viewers can now take advantage of an exclusive offer, 30% off an annual membership. That's less than $3.50 per month, and the offer is also available to returning members who have lapsed memberships. Support Dark Docs and visit try.magellantv.com/darkdocs or click on the link in the description below. Lifelong vows. Desmond Thomas Doss was born on February 7, 1919 in Lynchburg, Virginia. He was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist by his mother and professed nonviolence principles, kept the Sabbath, and had a vegetarian lifestyle. A picture in his childhood home portraying the 10 Commandments marked his life forever. He was particularly intrigued by the 6th commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." Doss later recounted a story in which his drunk father and an uncle got into a fight. His father took out a gun, but his mother quickly got between them and stopped a potential tragedy. She took the gun away and emptied the bullets, then handed it to her son and asked him to hide it. The impressionable child vowed never to touch a gun again. But life got in the way, and the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. Doss honored the values he had been raised with and rejected a deferment offered by his boss at the Newport News shipyard. He was convinced that he had a duty to serve his country and couldn't stand others giving up their lives for him. The young man then volunteered to serve in the Army, but made it clear he didn't want to shoot anybody. He was eventually drafted with the classification of conscientious objector, but he kept explaining that he saw himself more as a conscientious cooperator. Desmond Doss was to serve God and his country, in that order. A conscientious cooperator. Doss initially expressed interest in serving as a medic, but was sent to Fort Jackson to train with the 307th Infantry, 77th Infantry Division instead. He was ridiculed and isolated for years. The man of faith carried a pocket Bible with him at all times, and while praying at night, he would get shoes thrown at him. His superiors expected him to crack and regarded him as a pest and a coward. They even wanted to throw him out of the Army. In addition to his refusal to pick up a gun, Doss kept the Sabbaths from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday and did not perform any task during those 24 hours. He was forced to do the toughest duties every Sunday in exchange. Doss was restored to the medical attachment on May 5, 1942, under Captain Solomon Statman, 307th Regimental Surgeon. Statman was Jewish and quickly became annoyed by Doss's refusal to work on Saturdays. The soldier was constantly reminded that he was no different from everybody else and was even threatened with court-martial. Still, he kept requesting that his Sabbath be respected every single week. Commander Jack Glover wanted Doss out of the Army, but Doss once told him, quote, "Don't ever doubt my courage, because I'll be right by your side saving life while you take life." To which Glover responded, quote, "You're not going to be by my damn side if you don't carry a gun." Colonel Stephen S. Hamilton tried to humiliate Doss into bearing arms, but failed. And an officer by the name of Captain Cunningham tried to force him to grab a rifle, but couldn't make him. In retaliation, Doss wasn't allowed a furlough to visit his brother before he left with the Navy. The commanding officers kept growing more irritated and attempted to discharge him for mental instability, but Washington wouldn't remove someone on religious grounds so easily. Much to Doss's surprise, Captain Statman welcomed him into the medical corps. His father had called a War Service Commission, and Hamilton was reminded that President Roosevelt had proclaimed that no conscientious objector was required to bear arms, and no officer could contradict an act of Congress. Proving his worth. In March of 1944, The 77th Infantry Division was transferred to serve in the Pacific Theater. During his first battles in Guam and the Philippines, Doss got a chance to prove his worth. He would go around at night into the battlefields and help anyone in need. He was warned that, quote, "your own men might shoot you," but he disregarded such comments and carried on with his mission. His task was complicated, as unabating Japanese forces would look for medics to shoot them first and break the American morale. Quote, "They would let the infantry get by just to pick off a medic." Doss and his comrades were forced to remove their distinctive red cross patches, and he refused to leave any wounded man untreated. After his first battles, Doss was awarded 2 Bronze Star medals with V devices for valor while aiding the injured under enemy fire. The 77th Division was then sent to the island of Okinawa, where the U.S. Army and U.S. Marine Corps faced the Imperial Japanese Army. The Battle of Okinawa began in March of 1945 and was the largest amphibious attack in the Pacific Theater. By May, the division had repeatedly tried to capture the Maida Escarpment, an imposing 350-foot rock face known as Hacksaw Ridge. But the Japanese troops defended it with all their might, and the feat seemed impossible. Former battalion scout Ken LaFawn recalled that, quote, "it was a kill or be killed kind of war." The division was pushed off the ridge 9 times over 7 days, and the Americans were not able to advance. It became a stagnant battle. The troops then came up with the idea of using a cargo net to climb to the top. Doss volunteered to go up and hang the net along with 2 other soldiers from Company B. They successfully completed the task without being fired by enemy forces. Then, on April 30th, 1945, Companies A and B were ordered to take over the escarpment. 4 days of relentless fighting ensued. A hero is born. As the carnage from the battle increased, Desmond Doss kept focused on saving as many lives as he could. One day, he found a soldier with both legs severed, crying out for a medic. The least gravely injured men were usually treated first, but Doss didn't care and dragged the soldier back to safety. That soldier lived to be 72. Another time, Doss heard Japanese soldiers inside a hole near the base of the ridge. He pondered whether to drop a grenade and finish them, but he remained true to his convictions and let them go. He later confessed it was the greatest temptation of his life. Doss knew the Japanese tortured the wounded at nighttime, so one night he went up the ridge and looked for injured men on the battlefield. As he found them, he immediately dragged them towards the edge, sometimes as far as 200 yards. Then he lowered them using a rope and a double-looped knot he invented. The men at the base below didn't know what was happening, as injured men kept being lowered down. They figured some repentant man must have been saving their wounded. Meanwhile, Doss kept praying to God, quote, "Lord, please help me get one more." The soldier was never shot, despite being surrounded by enemy troops. A Japanese soldier later testified that he had Desmond in sight several times, but his rifle kept jamming when he tried to pull the trigger. Doss ended up rescuing an average of 1 man every 10 minutes for 12 hours. His commander wanted to give him credit for saving 100 men, but Doss claimed he had rescued around 50. They eventually settled on a symbolic figure of 75. Respect. The morning of May 5th, a final all-out attack on Hacksaw Ridge was launched. The only problem was that it was a Saturday. By then, the division had immense respect for the devoted medic. Doss said he would go to battle, but he needed time to pray beforehand. The request went up the chain of command, and the entire division waited a few extra minutes so that Doss could finish reading his Bible. In a surprising turn of events, Doss saved Commander Jack Glover when artillery shelling nearly finished him that day. Glover later said in the documentary The Conscientious Objector, quote, "He was one of the bravest persons alive, and then to have him end up saving my life was the irony of the whole thing." By the end of the Sabbath, Hacksaw Ridge was secured, and the division was finally able to advance. Till the end. On May 21st, Company B stumbled upon a Japanese company during a covert mission, and they engaged in hand-to-hand combat. Doss was caught in a hole with 3 other men when a grenade was thrown at them. Realizing there was no way out, Doss attempted to save his comrades and stepped on it, receiving about 17 pieces of shrapnel. Both of his legs were shattered. The medic healed his own wounds as well as he could and waited 5 hours to be rescued and carried on a litter. While being carried away, he spotted a wounded man and crawled off the litter, demanding that the other soldier be first cared for. A sniper bullet shattered his left arm while waiting to be retrieved. He then took a rifle and used it as a splint while crawling 300 yards to the nearest aid station. A 2016 film called Hacksaw Ridge did not feature this act, as director Mel Gibson reckoned it was too heroic to be believable. Doss was eventually taken to the ship Mercy Hospital, where he realized he had lost his pocket Bible on the battlefield. Some men from Company B then risked their lives and went back to look for it. The Bible was then returned to Doss. Doss was discharged on May 23rd and lived a peaceful farm life until he was 87. His Medal of Honor citation read, quote, "Through his outstanding bravery and unflinching determination in the face of desperately dangerous conditions, Private First Class Doss saved the lives of many soldiers. His name became a symbol throughout the 77th Infantry Division for outstanding gallantry far above and beyond the call of duty." Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our Dark Documentaries channels for more great stories on American heroes. And let us know in the comments below if you'd like us to cover a specific story.